Breaking tonight, Sir Keir Starmer is continuing to make headlines as he hits out at billionaire Jim Ratcliffe, the owner of Man United, one of the owners, following these comments which the Prime Minister said are offensive and wrong.
You can't afford, you can't have an economy with 9 million people on benefits and huge levels of immigrants coming in. I mean, the UK is being colonised. It's costing too much money. It will cause. It'll cause. Well, the UK is being colonised by immigrants, really, isn't it?
Obviously, lots of people are clutching their pearls about that, not least Sky News, who did the interview. But was Ratcliffe out of line, in your opinion, or was he simply saying what many British people are thinking as they look along their high street to see how much it has changed? Let's go to Michelle Donnellan on this, first of all, down in London. Michelle, what did you make of Ratcliffe's comments? It's incredibly rare to hear somebody in the public eye talk in such stark terms and fearlessly about mass migration.
Yeah, so I think he was absolutely right that we have a problem with unfettered immigration and migration, and then also the secondary problem that he was talking about, which is the dependency culture around welfare benefits. But what he was wrong about was that Britain hasn't been colonised. That's factually incorrect. And I think what he's done is actually make a mockery of the very serious debate and the serious point that Britain is literally, I believe, at breaking point now because of the immigration crisis and the welfare dependency that we're facing. And getting these things factually incorrect like that just gives a political football to the left. It just gives more ammunition. It just paints everybody that's arguing this point as racist. He got his stats completely wrong. He was 20 years out in terms of the volume on population. So I actually think he does a disservice to the really serious argument. I don't think Keir Starmer should have got involved. I think that was ridiculous that then he's sort of gone on to Twitter. He should be busy running the country, surely.
Well, quite. Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? Is it mainly the word colonised that you have a problem with?
Oh yeah, the rest
Michelle?
of
the
rest
that
of the
word?
point. Yeah. So that is factually incorrect. Britain hasn't been colonised. The rest of the points that he was making, as I said, are right. Britain has got a problem with immigration. That's why most people out there would say that. If you stopped anybody on the street, anybody with a bit of common sense would say that we've got to get a grip. And we also have a massive problem when it comes to welfare dependency. And he was off on his factual stats as well. So I just think let's not inflate the situation by making things up. Let's just stick to the truth, because the truth is bad enough, I would argue.
There was a stat I saw recently, I'm going to dig it out before the end of the show, about the number of schools that don't have any white children in them now in the UK, and how many of them have English as a second language, and that I found really shocking as an indication of population change and how quickly that's happened over 20 years. David, let me come to you. As our Guardian journalist, what a thrill to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. What did you make of Ratcliffe's comments? Is it offensive? Is the Prime Minister right?
Yeah, I would agree with Keir Starmer on this one. I agree. I think language like colonisation is very unhelpful for all sorts of historical reasons and fueling prejudice, and indeed, as your panellist makes the point, it actually ultimately undermines the argument of people on that side of the debate. I'm conscious, as you know, most of my time I write about what's going on in the United States, and that includes Donald Trump and immigration policy and just the way he's shifted the centre of gravity, often by using language, often offensive language, thinking back to when he talked about immigrants poisoning the blood of America and what that signified to a lot of people. So I'd hate to see Britain going down a similar road.
Our audience will be at home shouting at the screen now, David, and saying, well, you can't possibly know what it's like to see your high street change and for all your greasy spoon cafes to be replaced by shisha bars and to have Arabic language on just as normal on like tube stations and on the front of shops. Could it be that you aren't aware of how much change has been in the UK?
I've not lived there for 16, 17 years. I mean, I do go back regularly, but yeah, I would not claim to be as much of an expert as people who are living there all the time. However, I do feel even the picture you just described, there would actually be also much to celebrate there in terms of the diversity. And if you look at like a city like London, often comes out number one in the rankings of global cities, partly because of its tremendous multicultural, multiracial diversity. And people love to celebrate the fact I can go for a Turkish meal there or an Indian meal there, and so on. Clearly, as in all things in life, a balance needs to be struck.
It's such a difficult conversation. Matt, I'm so glad you've made it here. Were you stuck in the traffic out there?
It's bad out there.
It's bad out there. Thanks to Netanyahu, I think, that we can blame for that. This issue of migration, it's a hot topic in the UK. It's very much a hot topic here. Man United owner has said that we are being colonised and that Britain has been ruined by immigration. Just your response to that. The Prime Minister has said those comments are offensive.
Well, look, I'll let people make their own choice of how they feel about those comments. Here's what I can tell you. What you're seeing in the UK and here in the US are concerns around illegal immigration. People are for immigration. We are a nation here in the United States, the UK, where immigration matters, a melting pot, if you will. Yeah. But it comes down to the law, and it also comes down to border security, and it comes down to what that means for these nations. And I've seen polling that shows the vast majority of people in the UK and in the US want to see those laws enacted where we protect our borders and we ensure there's a pathway to legal migration here in the United States and in the UK.
And I do wonder, David, as well, whether it's the point he was making about how many people are on benefits in the UK. He was making it about economics as opposed to just necessarily a high street that he doesn't recognise. Does that make a difference?
Sure, clearly nobody in government wants illegal immigrants getting benefits that they're not entitled to. I know there's various sides of that debate. I do find an irony here that, of all things, it's someone involved in a Premier League football club when the Premier League is one of the most international it's got more immigrants than almost any.
Yeah, he wouldn't have won many trophies without immigration. That is a very good point. Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you. Delighted to say now, I'm going to talk to one of my favourite, if not my favourite Labour man in the world, actually. Labour Peer Lord Glasman joins me now. And in fact, the last time that I saw you, we were in this city at the inauguration, Lord Glasman, and you are one of the very few people who is not, you don't hate Donald Trump in the same way that a lot of people from your political party actually do, Morris. So what a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. Right.
I promise. I told you I'd come on, and now I've kept my word.
You did.
Last year I said I would.
You did. Thank you so much, and what good to see you. And what a great topic to start with. What do you think about the fact that Ratcliffe has made these comments, and then Starmer's response? I'd love to hear your take on it.
Well, first of all, I'm in dream world because I never thought I'd come on GBNews with a Guardian journalist, so that's great. Well, really, colonised is a really what it means to be colonised is also what it means to be invaded and to be ruled by foreigners. I think that's kind of bonkers. I mean, he's just just talking. But the inability to stop the boats, the inability to control migration, the way that migration is part of our political economy, you know, the whole Deliveroo culture, all of that, means that stuff like this can easily be said and understood to be true. You know, like, I get it. I get what he's saying. He's definitely chosen an inflammatory word in saying that.
Do we need more people, though? Do we need more people in the public eye to have the backbone, frankly, I nearly used a different word there, but to have the backbone to say publicly, I'm not happy with the amount of migration, I have concerns about it, and then we can at least have a conversation, a frank conversation.
I know what that is. I mean, in 2011, you know, I said that immigration was too high and we should stop it. And I was really crucified. I mean, The Guardian was one place I was crucified, but it was generally right across the board on the progressive left. And now I think it can be spoken. We've got to have a truthful conversation about it, because it's gone on behind the backs of the British people, and it's driving them crazy. And the idea that we can't even stop the boats on the English Channel when we're an island is crazy. I'm in favour of solidarity rather than diversity being the obsession of the left.
Yeah. Can I just ask you, because obviously I am here in Washington, D.C., the fallout of Mandelson continues. Yeah. You have spoken about the fact that you warned Number 10 very clearly. Just let our viewers know, Maurice, about the story that you've told, about the warnings that you gave, and how you can rationalise the appointment of that man with that history.
Okay, well, I'll take that in those two parts. You know, the first is I wrote a confidential briefing to Number 10 that was in fact leaked last September, so it wouldn't normally be my custom to talk about confidential notes, but it was clear to me you were there. I mean, people walking up to us and showing pictures of, do you remember that? I mean, they were showing pictures of Peter Mandelson blowing out the birthday candles. I mean, I wasn't exactly Sherlock Holmes here. I mean, and many people of Peter Mandelson in his bath, in his dressing gown, talking to... I mean, these were things I was shown all over DC when I was there at the inauguration. So I simply said, don't do it. But I don't think... So now I'll get to the second part of the question. I don't think that in England at that time we understood the scale of the Epstein story, that this was a huge QAnon and all that. So my advice was ignored. And the thing with Mandelson is that he's got angels and he's got terrible demons. And part of his angelness is that he is an extremely capable negotiator. He did basically the Good Friday Agreement, he did Lisbon. So I was basically told that he was up to the job and he could do it, and they didn't listen. That's what happened, and that's why
they've now got... I don't share your... I don't share that version of events. I don't think you could possibly not know this was coming down the line. Knowing that Trump was going to be in that house around the corner from here, knowing that he was going to be implicated in the Epstein files because, frankly, the Democrats were going to find something whether it was there or not.
Listen, I get it.
It doesn't make sense to me. Somebody must have said to him, you have to make him ambassador.
Yeah, well, it could be that, and I think it is the case, that a really failed ideology, which is New Labour, exerted and has exerted huge influence on this government. You've still got Jonathan Powell until yesterday, the head of communications. I mean, I've been fighting against that, I can assure you, and I can bear witness to it. And they do not understand the scale of their sin. They do not understand that greed and paedophilia and lust and prostitution are absolutely out of order. Absolutely, they're not normal. It's not the normal give and take of life. It's out of order. And there's got to be a real penance for this.
And we've got this other story now about Starmer nominating this former advisor for a peerage, despite him having these connections with a paedophile suspect. This is Lord Doyle. Does that matter, or is this just Starmer throwing another guy under the bus to kind of show that he has a conscience about this issue?
This matters enormously, because what you've got is a group of ultra hyper liberal transhumanist people, progressives, who think that the normal morality doesn't apply to them. And so you've got this guy. I mean, it was also animal porn on his computer. I mean, this is just what they call it where I come from, bang out of order and sort it out.
Let's have a quick look, Maurice, at what the Prime Minister said about. Let's have a quick look at what the Prime Minister said about Doyle earlier today. Here we go.
Doyle did not give a full account of his actions. And on Monday, I promised my party and my country there would be change. And yesterday, I removed the whip from Matthew Doyle. I'm going to take no lectures from the Tories in standards in public life. She defended Partygate for months and months and months. And even now, she says it was overblown.
How safe is his job at the moment, Lord Glasman, Starmer? Is he going to be hanging on?
Oh, hanging on, yeah. Look, I don't think there's... He's now morally obligated as someone who has stood by public probity and honesty to sort this out. But trying to compare, I mean, I just want to say to viewers, I really respected and liked Morgan McSweeney. He was someone I thought was a really decent guy. He made a big mistake. He did the honourable thing and he resigned. But Morgan, I mean, I can already see the loss of Morgan in this story. You cannot compare animal porn and paedophilia and publicly supporting that with having a drink and a piece of cake at a pub, during COVID. They're not comparable. So I get it. I mean, what Boris did was wrong, but this is completely out of order, and Labour's got to rediscover soul here. It's a working class party that knows the difference between things that happen in life and things that are totally out of order.
OK, thank you so much, Lord Maurice Glasman there. I knew it would be a pleasure. Come back again and see me soon. Thank you so much for joining me late at night there in the UK. Now, of course, Lord Mandelson has previously denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, stating, "I was never culpable or complicit in his crimes. Like everyone else, I learnt the actual truth about him after his death." Mandelson added that he had relied on assurances of his innocence that turned out later to be horrendously false. And Matthew Doyle has said, "I want to apologise for my past association with Sean Morton. His offences were vile and I completely condemn the actions for which he was rightly convicted. At the time he was maintaining his innocence, but I regret supporting him. My thoughts are with the victims and all those impacted by those crimes."